Hello guys, here making another video to go over the Ascendancy classes, see what they offer, how the build has changed, if it's changed at all, and just to give some summary and tips to people that intend to play it. I'm going to start off with an Occultist summary first, because I think going the Occultist way is going to basically make us play essentially the same build. It's not gonna change as much, whereas Saboteur offers a bit more different possibilities that need to be tested. So for the sake of simplicity, let's start with Occultist. So the summary of the patch notes: Bladefall nerfed by 25% less. Poison Game nerfed for about 100% reduced. That's not as big as it seems because it's reduced and the less damage. Slight node nerfs. Occultist gives minus 20 chaos resistance if you take the node. Has more reliable and consistent survivability because you don't need to stand next to the mob to get the ES regen from the Minos, and more ES. The one change that I forgot here is Minos regen is basically trash now. That's about it. 200 regen per second is like whatever. If you have like high ES numbers, that's about 2%, 3%, like around 3 to 4% ES regen per second, and that's like, to get that with Occultist, you need to kill 8 enemies to outdo the Minos regen. So yeah, this build doesn't take Zealots out anymore because it's not worth the 5 points, it's not worth to spec into regen nodes just because of it. And we already get the energy shield regen per second. This is energy shield regen, is not life regeneration, doesn't need zealot swords to work. I think Vile Bastion in the Occultist is a clear winner, especially coupled with Wicked Ward, which gives 100 flat ES, which is pretty huge. With our tree, it's gonna end up something like 4 to 500 ES total when it's multiplied by all the increases and the multiplier from the node behind chaos inoculation. It also gives some decent energy shield recharge and maximum energy shield nodes. And energy shield recharge is not interrupted by damage if recharge began recently. Recently refers to last 4 seconds, that is consistent wording across all these Ascendancy classes. What this means is, this is basically a god tier node for this build. This build is a block evasion build. It relies on not getting hit. Stun immunity on full energy shield, coupled with no interruption if energy shield already recharged. Started recharging, increased energy shield recharge rate from the tree, increased energy shield recharge rate from the Ascendancy nodes. And ES regen is going to basically make you pretty much always be on full energy shield, and where not, you're going to recharge pretty damn fast. Vile Bastion offers 0.5% of energy shield per second for each enemy you've killed. That means it stacks. It is not uncommon with this build to throw a trap and kill 30 to 40 enemies. If you watch some of my videos in domination maps, but the domination is gone, but still, even in regular maps with decent mob size, pack size, you will be killing basically at least 20 enemies per one trap. That means you will be getting 10% of energy shield regenerated per second. This build, especially with Occultist, can easily reach 13 to 1400 ES with decent gear. With godlike gear, it would break 1500 ES, 15k ES. With slightly lesser gear, with pretty terrible gear, it would be around 10k ES. Let's say you have only 10k ES. You kill 20 enemies, you gain 10% of energy shield recharge per second. That means you get 1000% energy shield recharge per second. That's pretty huge. It's not the Minos regen we used to have that basically recharged our energy shield to full. But this allows us to stay at a distance. Basically, throw your traps, you don't need to go near mobs, you can keep your distance, you can make sure that you're not hit. So that you recharge faster, that you basically that you don't need to have that insane regen because you're not getting hit as much. So that's pretty much the summary for these nodes. They couple very good with block, they couple very good with evasion, they give us decent regen, and they basically to some extent replace the Beerus regen and make the nerf a non-issue. The next 2 points are kinda tricky, and it's tricky because of the wording. Void Beacon. Nearby enemies have minus 20% chaos resistance. Life regeneration rate is whatever. If this actually has a pretty good range, if at least it has like a blasphemy range, it would be a pretty good node to take, because it's essentially a 20% multiplier for mobs that have no chaos resistance. If it has too low of a range and you would have to be near the mobs for Void Beacon to apply to them, for 20 chaos resistance minus to apply to them, it's not gonna be worth taking, because you don't have that survivability of Beerus regen to be able to stand near the mobs anymore. What you could do instead is take the Profane Bloom. This node is actually nerfed. It's now only 20% chance to cursed monsters. It didn't update on skill tree planners yet. 20%, but monsters take 20%. Monsters explode for 25% for quarter of their life now. So it's 20% chance, but 25% explosion. That's pretty huge on a tanky monster. 25% of life is insane. So you basically have 20% chance for another 25% multiplier on your damage. And all this chaos damage, if you take some chaos nodes, like chaos nodes here, chaos nodes from here and from here, it's going to apply to this node. So it's going to apply to their explosions. And enemies you curse take 10% increased damage. This works very good if you have enchanted curse on hit on gloves, which I recommend because southbound gloves are 1 to 5 chaos gloves. You can buy a ton of them, you can roll them until you get that vulnerability on hit. Temp chains on hit is also pretty common pretty common corruption, and you could use that until you get vulnerability. Basically you want some kind of curse on hit on gloves, so that enemies you curse take % increased damage. Enemies you curse take, that essentially means multiplier, because it's consistent with wording, with previous wording GGG gave us. For example, on vulnerability curse says that they take 20-something% increased damage as physical damage. That's also a multiplier, just like this node is. So both of these nodes are multipliers. It will just be the question of whether this has enough range to be justified taking over this node. 20% chance nerf is actually pretty big on this node, down from 50%. When it came out it used to be 100, and I thought it was overpowered and expected this nerf to happen, because it was just insane. It was basically a free Abyssal Cry on any cursed enemy, even stronger than Abyssal Cry. And yeah, so it got nerfed. But I still think it could be justified to take that node just for the enemies you curse take 10% increased damage. I think that is enough to make the node justifiable if the range on the other node is too low and the explosion is just a bonus. You will have enough damage to kill the mobs without explosion. You won't need to have to rely on this. I will be posting the 3 choices, the passive tree in the thread for the Occultist later, after I upload the video, so you can see it. But this is going to be basically look like it. There's some more ES I decided to take here, but you can drop it. You can take more damage here, more damage here. You can take fatal toxins instead of that. You have enough room to wiggle with, to play around, decide if you want damage nodes and you want ES nodes. I don't think the regen is necessary, but if you want to, you can go the old route, take the blood dance boots, maybe take some life regenos, take the zealotone, and still get an extra 200 from Minos, and couple that with on top of your ES regen, but I don't think it's going to be particularly worth it considering the point investment. That's about it for the Occultist, and next video is gonna be Saboteur, which I think is really interesting, especially after all the buffs that it got.